let's talk something that we said we probably weren't going to talk about, but with the debacle of it, we got to.
Yeah.
Was the NFL drunk or high when they chose what schedule to use?
Oh, jeez. They were combination of both. This is why you don't combine drugs. Don't do drugs, but don't combine drugs. Because this is one of the worst schedules I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's so many flaws with this schedule that I don't even know where to begin. I really don't even know where to begin.
And to make it clear, this is an AWS assisted schedule.
Yeah. If they can do this for the NFL, imagine what they can do for your business.
Right.
Even more.
Yeah. Let's start with Houston's issues. Well, in my opinion, one of these is not an issue. It's actually a good thing. For the first time in several years, Houston doesn't have to play the same team in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
a good thing. That should always be. You should never play twice in 3 weeks.
And the Dallas-Houston game got put in a primetime spot, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I'm not surprised it was primetime. Maybe I'm a bit surprised it was Monday Night Football. I thought it was going to be either Sunday night or maybe Thanksgiving. But I had a feeling Cowboys-Texans, Lone Star State Battle, I had a feeling that was going to be a big game on national TV in some capacity.
Right.
I'm just a bit interested because it's like the two biggest Cowboys-Texans games of all time, oddly enough, both on ESPN. Because the first ever game the Texans played was against the Cowboys in 2002. That was on Sunday Night Football when it was on ESPN. And this one is on ESPN. So I'm a bit surprised that the NFL kind of allowed that to happen, or ESPN. Like, they got a good deal there. They got a really good deal.
Yeah, ESPN kind of got a mixed bag on paper, but so does Amazon. So we're not real sure how this is going to go.
Yeah, that's usually a Thursday and the Monday night games. They're mixed. The Sunday night games are usually the best, and then Thursday and Monday you get some splits.
Now, Jacksonville, rough stretch to start it and rough stretch to end it, but a fairly decent stretch in the middle. This is not going to be an easy season for Trevor, is it?
No. Well, I don't know about Trevor, but I don't know about this team. I mean, look, at the end of the day, this team collapsed last year. I don't think this team is as good as people think they are. I don't think this team is as good as the front office thinks it is. And to start the season off with 4 straight games against playoff teams from last year,
including the Texans.
Yeah, including the Texans, which I'm not looking forward to. The Dolphins in the brutal heat, which doesn't benefit us at all. Because the Dolphins can run the ball at will. The Dolphins have the best rushing offense in football. We do not have that. We have ETN, but we have no depth behind him, so ETN's going to get gassed quickly. Not looking forward to that. And then, the Browns is part of that stretch. I mean, it's brutal. It is. I'm not looking forward to the first 4. If we can survive that 2-2, I will be more happy if we survive that 2-2 than last year when we were 8-3. Because I'll be like, okay, if we've survived that stretch at 2-2, we're going to be good this year.
Yeah. And of course, that stretch ends in Houston on a game I'm more than likely going to get to go to. So which will be my first NFL game, by the way.
Nice.
And that I'm hoping to come out of that with a win, but at the same time, if we split the series again this year, I'm okay with that.
I'm praying for a split. I don't think we take a game. I really don't think we take a game. I mean, last year I don't know how we won that game. I don't know how we won the second game.
Houston just not trying.
I don't know how the defense could not stop CJ Stroud and magically the miss off the crossbar. I was like, how on earth did we get away with that? I don't know how. The refereeing was terrible that game, though. The refereeing was just,
the refs were
the worst ref game I've ever seen. The worst ref game of the season was the Jaguars Texans last year. Fun game, but the worst
for the whole game for a whole game. The worst refs. The worst reffing call was that Dallas Detroit game.
Yeah, but it was like the offensive pass interference. I was like, okay, we're the pick's coming back because Ingram was clearly being wrapped around and held, and then they didn't call it back. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like that's a clear-cut textbook definition of defense pass interference. And then the refs are like, you know what, we're right. We're going to make up for it on the next 3 drives. They're going to give you all the calls. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's not how it should work.
I was like, what? Like it was like this bogus pass interference against you guys the next drive. Well, it's clearly a makeup call. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's how it's
All
going
right.
to be.
So you released a video on JG9 News about this. Week 18, the same old, same old?
Yeah, pretty much. So in a Reddit AMA, Mike North was asked about repeat matchups in week 18. And he said, we try not to have the same matchups. Like, we do our absolute best to make sure we're not getting the same matchups over and over again, which makes sense. No one wants to see that.
Right. Every 6 years, every 6 years is when you repeat.
Yeah. And yet, we have Cowboys against the Commanders and the Giants against the Eagles for the 3rd straight season to end the year. And we have, at the same exact location, Bears at Packers, and then Vikings at Lions for the 2nd straight year, which you just have to look. And the crazy part is that the league says, oh, we base like stuff off history and whatnot. Like we look at previous schedules and whatnot, but clearly they don't, because otherwise they would have caught this. There's a very easy fix to this, a very easy fix. You can either do one or two things. You can either say, you know what, we want the schedule to be a rotational schedule. So every 6 years, you play each team twice. Every 3 years, you play each team once. And every 6 years, you play 3 on the road and 3 at home. Now, there are going to be some times where it might not work out cleanly. You have to alter some things because with the college football playoff and the expansion, you might have something like there might be a scheduling conflict with a semifinal game in Miami. So maybe Miami, it's their turn to host, but the Orange Bowl is going to be there for the semifinals, so you can't do it. Which, that's fine. That happens. But there's like 3 or 4 teams they have to work around. 3 or 4 teams they have to work around with that. But it should be like the Jaguars, let's say you play at the Titans this year versus the Texans next year, at the Colts in 2026 versus the Titans 27, at the Texans 2028, and versus the Colts in 29. Then you just repeat the process. You could do that, or you could do, you know what? We want to make sure, we want to make it so that the best matchups, we want to make it so that we have the best matchups possible for week 18. And the prevailing theory is that good teams stay good and bad teams stay bad. So we're going to do it where first place plays second place and third place plays fourth place from the previous season. You can do one of those two. And I have no problem with whatever format you decide to do, but this format is completely ridiculous. There was no thought here put into this.
And you know, in the video that I think it was NFL Throwbacks did, they talked about how AWS is used for scheduling and how they put certain criteria in for each week, including if the stadium's available or not, stuff like that. This is something that they could easily just put into the algorithm to say this needs to happen. It needs to be a rotation.
Yeah.
And really they don't do it.
And they can't put in the algorithm that you can't play twice in 3 weeks against the same team. They can't put that in the algorithm. Like,
right.
It's like a very easy fix.
Or like, you can't, or you have to have a division game before week 11.
Yeah. It seems like a very easy fix that says like the schedule's null and void if this team shows up twice in a month. If it shows up twice in the same exact month, it can't be a thing. Like, you don't even need a computer. You really can just do it by hand. You really can just do it by hand. I mean,
were we better
for him by years and it worked?
Were we better off before they started using AWS?
Yes, I think we were.
I know we had some crappy schedules, but they weren't rampant. And we've had 2 in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think the problem also is that before they did AWS, there weren't as many primetime games. Like Thursday Night Football is now the entire season. They've got the Netflix Christmas games. They got international games at 9:30. Like, there's more things to put in, but you really can do it by hand. You really can do it by hand. And there really should be something in the algorithm that says, okay, you can't start the season at home and on the road. I mean, not start the season and end the season at the same spot. Right. You have to 16 teams will start their season at home, and 16 teams will end their season at home. I think it's unfair to start and end the season on the road like the Jaguars have done the last 2 years.
Do you think that divisional games, your two sets of divisional games, need to come at 3 games in the first 8 weeks, 3 games in the second 8 weeks?
Yeah, just like the Premier League does, just like soccer does. Because the thing is that the trade deadline is moved back because you want to incentivize trades, which makes sense. I get it. I like that. I like that move by the NFL. Move the trade
Right.
deadline back. But when you're looking at the trade deadline, you're looking at, okay, are we going to buy or are we going to sell? What do we need? What do we need to make a run? And
And
usually,
if
if you
you've
want to make
played
a run,
all non-divisional games, you don't know what you need for your run against your division.
right? Like the Steelers don't have a game until week 11 against a divisional opponent. That's past the trade deadline. So they don't know, okay, what do we need to beat the Ravens? What do we need to beat the Browns? What do we need to beat the Bengals? Same thing with the Bears. We don't know with the Bears. Like, what do they need to beat the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions? Because they don't have a divisional game until week 11.
Right.
And we don't know if Nickelodeon's getting a game yet this year. So David's comment. I'm assuming they will. I'm assuming it's probably going to be a playoff game or maybe a Thanksgiving game, but they haven't announced anything yet. But they're not doing Christmas, which kind of stinks.
Yeah. I think Nick losing Christmas is a big. The NFL is going to hurt on not letting that happen.
Yeah, I think the NFL made a bad decision going to Netflix on Christmas.
Yeah.
Because
And there's still the unknown. There's still the unknown.
Yeah.
Can Netflix handle it?
Right. And it's not even just that. It's also the idea of a lot of people spend Christmas with their families. A lot of people spend it at their grandparents' house.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have smart TVs. A lot of these people that are in their 60s and their 70s, they don't have smart TVs. No one's going to be like, people are not going to be able to watch the game.
Yeah.
Like the amount of panic that's going to happen at Christmas parties when they're not able to watch the game, they have to like figure something out because their grandparents don't have a smart TV.
Right.
Like it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said last month, my parents do have smart TVs, but how well is Netflix going to perform if you're trying to watch, if one TV is trying to watch the game and then the kids are in the other room trying to watch cartoons on Netflix?
Yeah.
Now you're splitting your bandwidth, and like my parents don't have a lot of bandwidth. They've only got 50 meg.
Yeah.
And because they're on an old they're on a legacy deal with from the Time Warner Charter merger. They're on a legacy plan. So yeah, it's a headache for them. But
it's not even like the Peacock game for the playoffs, because at least with that you could watch it at a bar. Like
right.
You can watch it at a bar. No bars are open. What bars are open on Christmas?
Right, exactly.
So you can't even do that.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Figure out how to get one of the movie theaters in town to show the game?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know Christmas, like movie theaters are open on Christmas, but I mean, they're big in New York on Christmas. They're big in New York, but that's because it's a high Jewish population. But
yeah,
it's I don't know how you're gonna get it to work. I think they got too greedy. I think, and the fact they're not doing any test games beforehand is insane to me.
So, who ultimately won with this season schedule, and who is the ultimate loser other than the fans?
Yeah, I mean, the loser for me is the Steelers. That stretch at the end is brutal, and to not make divisional games till week 11. I mean, 6 of your final 8 games are against divisional teams, and in the toughest division in the NFL. I mean, that was the toughest division in NFL history last year. And the Bengals were last place. The Bengals might be the second best team in the AFC right now. They might be top 3, maybe second best with a healthy Burrow. They were the worst team in the division last year.
I mean, there was a reason that Grossi focused on the AFC North in his videos, because that was anything can happen division.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is going to be this year as well. I mean, Lamar is still in his peak and he's not going nowhere. Still as mobile as ever.
Mm-hmm.
Burrow, like you said, probably part of the top 5 in the NFL. And then you got Watson coming back.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the Browns, he's coming back. Hopefully for all of us that have to watch, he
Yeah.
isn't.
No.
But
Hopefully not.
I think the Steelers are the only big question mark at quarterback, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Russ is an upgrade over Pickett. I think he's an upgrade over
Well,
Pickett.
yeah.
But I mean, then again, anyone's an upgrade over Pickett. But I mean, the Browns
Except
are
maybe Mac Jones.
yeah, except maybe Mac Jones. Yeah, I mean, Watson. I don't know how he's going to play. I mean, he had one good half last year. Like, I think he's not like we have to move past the fact that he's not the same guy that he was. He's not going to get.
Gonna be rusty.
Yeah, he's not going to be what he was prior, like in 2017, 2018. He's not going to be that guy.
Right.
Those days are done. He's not that guy anymore. So
Yeah.
I think the Browns are the worst team on paper, but they're still. I mean, with that defense, they're still a good team.
Yeah, that defense is top notch. And that defense won them some games last year they shouldn't have won.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Who ultimately won this though? Who won the schedule lottery? Was it the Chiefs?
Honestly, I think the Texans did pretty well. I think the Texans did very well in terms of the national games they got, the spreading out of the games. I think Houston made out very, very well. I think the schedule makers did Houston very solid.
Yeah.
The other thing is the fact that Giants have like so many games in prime time, and the Jets have 7 of the first 11 national TV. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Like,
that's kind of surprised me, but that's that Aaron Rodgers effect, right?
Yeah.
Let's just hope we don't have a repeat of last year, because I think 4 plays in, no one expected that.
Yeah. Giants Bengals and Sunday Night Football. I don't know what they were thinking. That's like the worst. I'm like, what are you possibly doing?
Right.